joined us on a Sunday morning. Thank you so much. This is your personal time, but yet you made time to join and understand more about how we can best enable our career and have some tips on it. Thank you so much for joining in. This is an initiative that has just kick-started and it's the brainchild of Saujanya and Madhav Reddy from the chapter. Saujanya leads the business development at the chapter. She's one of the newest board members. And Madhav Reddy is a president and the initiator as well as a mentor for this program. Madhav, I request you to please share a few words regarding our chapter and let's go forward.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Srinivas. Welcome you all on behalf of PMI Pearl City chapter. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that we would not disturb you. Before I move on, I just want to repeat last time when we had a networking meeting, I had suggested about certain things. I just want to repeat that. During these COVID times, we as a chapter decided that we should have a mechanism to help our members. And of course, this is open to other members as well from whoever is listening to this program. Is that we said that if anything happens because of COVID to any one of us or any of our family members, we are available. And for that particular event, I am the spokesperson. So you can reach out to me. We will help you ensure that all, whether it is a PP kit that is required or aid is required to take you to the hospital or even any one of your family members to the hospital or anything. So that's one aspect of that. The second one was on the career. You know, the times have not been so good, and has been instances of people losing jobs. So what we had initiated under Sairam's leadership, that anyone who would like to reorient yourself, look out for any other different kind of an opportunity, please free to connect with Sairam or any one of the directors. We will be there to help you out. Coming back to this, the purpose of this particular program that we have initiated. When we started, talking to our members, we realized that the needs of our members is different because we have around 1,100 members, and all 11 members' requirement or needs might be different. So we decided to have a member base split or broken into smaller groups, identify their specific needs, and then start contributing there. So Enabler was a program which was for the first timers, the first 3 years, 5 years, people who are into their careers. How do we help them in enabling a better movement in their career? And then that's how this initiative was started. And thank you, Sarup, for being part of this. This is the first program that we are starting. And we are going to have a series of 5 to 6 programs where we are going to dwell upon different areas of career development. I just wanted to share a few thoughts. Someone had beautifully said, when he was asked that, how could you make such a beautiful sculpture? And he said that, I didn't do much. I only removed some extra unrequired stones which were there around. What basically, hello? I just wanted to say that, never underestimate yourself. Each one of us is born with our own strengths and are blessed to have the power to convert them and achieve whatever we want to. Just, we need that little bit of nudge, a little bit of direction. And I hope that this particular program, which actually lead you to that. And as far as, Swarup is concerned, I'm sure there's going to be an introduction of him, but I just have to say that, we have to value a person is not measured by what he does to make his life meaningful, but what he does for others. And I suppose Sarup's time with us for the next 1.5 hours would be good and interesting. He would definitely give us inputs and insight how we should go about improving our resumes. At the age of 55, I still feel that, something can be added to my resume. So the right word that Sarup has used is transformation of a resume. And he's not teaching us how to make a resume, but how do we transform that resume, which is better accepted by the market. Thank you very much. With that words, I request Suma to take over.
Thank you so much, Madhav. The first and foremost thing that we are all talking about in the recent times is the COVID-19 and our response to it for our near and dear. And the PMI PCC initiative about the friends of members is in this direction. Thank you for leading us through it. And I request everyone to um, check out this initiative and see who would need this help. We are there. That's one statement that we would like to reiterate again and again to all the members. In whatever capacity we can, we are there for you. With that, I would request the person behind all this initiative and activity, that is Saujanya, one of the newest board members of the chapter, to help us know a little bit more about this initiative as well as the episode 2. Saujanya, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Suma. Hello, everyone. I really thank you all for attending this session on this Sunday morning. Actually, we already Madhav Reddy and Suma has briefed about this session. We would like to always add value to our members. And as Madhav said, we would like to segment our members and add value to each one of our member. And to this initiative is mainly for job seeking members who want to update their hiring collaterals from hiring experts and accelerate their search rewarding career. We would like to create a point of difference from the competition in the current situation. We want our members to face the competition in the present situation to enable their career. Our career growth journey is never ending. There is always going to be a growth, improvement, adversity. You just got to take it all in and do what's right at right time. So I think this initiative of career enabler is a right initiative on this right time. Initially, we thought just to introduce one session, that is resume transformation. But later we thought, let us add more value to this. So we started with 3 series, that is 3 episodes. One is resume writing, where transform your resume is the main value addition for this session. And then we are adding 2 more sessions, that is what hiring leaders want from you, interview preparedness, and then what is the best way to reach online job postings and hiring consultants. Hope we'll add more episodes to this career enabler series. Thank you very much for joining, and we look forward to hear from you, your feedback. And thank you, Swaroop, and thank you, Suma.
Thank you so much, Saujanya, for giving us. Ah, how could I be on a resounding mode? Okay, all right. With that, let me not waste much time, and I will introduce our speaker for the day, Mr. Swaroop Srinivas, to you. Swaroop is a co-founder at Career. It's a founder, career guidance and placement training firm. And next, he is also the co-founder of EarthSurf. This is an established consumer lifestyle brand presenting Indian handicraft traditions in a contemporary manner. He has also worked in Dell International Services as an advisor, PwC, and many such organizations. He is a postgraduate diploma in management from IIM Bangalore and a BEE from National Institute of Technology, Karnataka. And he is totally an entrepreneur, career counselor, and bag maker. So currently, he thrives on providing career guidance and placement training services to leading these schools in India. His services include career guidance, resume writing, interview preparation workshops, and the like. They have worked with students across, and happy to note that they have covered almost 35,000 students over the last 9 years. So over to you, Swaroop, to introduce us to the PMI PCC initiative, the Career Enabler, and kickstart the first episode. Swaroop, all yours now.
Yeah, thank you, Suma, for a very generous introduction. Thank you, Saujanya, for reaching out. We had worked earlier together, and she thought it was good to talk to me about this. Thanks, Madhav, for having me in this session. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see so many people on a Sunday morning. But I also think it's COVID, so any break from work will be appreciated. I hope wherever you are, you're safe and your family is safe. These are difficult times, but yeah, it's mankind. We'll get through it. Okay. So without further delay, we'll get into this this first episode of the Career Enabler series. Today we'll talk about resume writing. So let's get started then. Okay. So I have an agenda in mind. So this we have done. I just had this. I just want to add a little bit to my profile there. Not only does Career work with B schools, I've personally been involved with a lot of professionals, working professionals who are looking to seek career transformation, especially around their CV and career guidance and what to do next and all of that. I also do a lot of work with this agency called Great Learning, which does analytics trainings for a lot of people. So that's where I've been exposed to, hundreds, if not thousands, of working professionals where I've helped them sort of transform their career. Just wanted to add that little bit to whatever Suma said. So without delay, let's get into what we're going to do today. See, I understand that everybody has a CV and many of you have lots of years of experience. You've all changed jobs, so you already have a CV, and the last line of the CV is from the first CV that you wrote. And these are usually ossified, fossilized documents because we tend not to touch the earlier parts of the CV, and we keep adding on to them. Okay, that's normal human behavior. So what I request you is just keep an open mind and try and process what I'm saying, and then begin to form in your head a model in a way in which your resume will undergo some sort of a transformation. Okay, so this is what I have as an agenda. So why is the resume so important? Okay, and also some ground rules. This is nothing to do with project management resumes. I've seen, like Suma said, about 35,000 resumes over the last few years, last decade. So broadly, I know what resumes look like, right? So there are some common mistakes that people make, and this is irrespective of which kind of resume you're writing. So I'll also take you through some of that so that you can get rid of these basic errors that if they exist on your resume. Then we will spend a little bit of time discussing what is called a chronological or versus a functional resume. And my sense is that most of you would have written what is called a chronological resume. We'll talk about its limitations and what is a functional resume and what are the benefits of writing a functional resume. We'll spend a little bit of time on that. And then we will get into how do you write a functional resume from a project management point of view, and how do you make it richer? How do you build in details? How do you make it a very attractive document? And as a part of that process, I'll also show you some sample resumes, especially in the area of project management. I've got a couple of examples from the IT space. I've got one which is IT for India's oil major kind of thing, and I've got one which is more like a mining industry infrastructure kind of a project management kind of resume. Just take you through some examples. Of course, this deck will get shared with you, so you'll also have all this for ready reference. But just to highlight how you can, these examples will tell you or will give you a real life view of what your CV can look like. Okay, and then you will sort of start making your own judgments of how your CV should come out. Okay. Then we'll also talk a little bit about tailoring your resume for various roles. I have very strong views on this, and we'll do that. And we'll talk about the keyword matching that a lot of these websites will use. And then this will take about 30 to 40 minutes. And then, of course, we'll do whatever question answer that is required. In the middle, I've also built in a little bit of a hands-on exercise for you. So keep a pen and paper or a Word processing document handy so that you can type some stuff, because I want you to feel the pain of resume writing in this session, because it's not easy to write. And where this entire experience started was my own experience in IIM Bangalore, because we entered IIM Bangalore, and by the time we were sitting for summer internship placements, it's not even final placements, I had a 60th version of my resume, because it was drilled into us that this has to be a perfect document which clearly brings out what you're good at and what your key skills are. So that's where all of this stems from. So it is a remarkably painful process because it's ultimately expressing the self, and that's always the most difficult thing to do. So I want you to feel that pain a little bit. So one portion of the resume will make you sit and write, okay, and just do it parallelly, and then we can maybe take some samples or whatever to get some feedback. So that will also be built into this. So depending on how long that takes, this entire presentation will take about 30 to 40 minutes, post which we can do any amount of Q&A. I think the way we'll do Q&A is, the ideal way, of course, is that you just type in the chat window and the question is there on record and it can be answered. However, if your question is long, then you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay. So are we good? Shall we continue? Okay, cool. So some basic stuff. Okay. So why is it that a resume is so important? Many of you do recruitment. In fact, I think when I looked at the registration participants profile, I saw that many of you are very senior. So I'm sure you've done recruitment, and you would have felt that little positive impression creep into your mind when you see a good-looking document. Okay, so you all dress up for interviews, and you make sure you look good and you smell good and your hair is done well. But I don't have any hair, so I don't have to worry about that. But whatever, right? So we go groomed, but we often carry very shabby resumes. Okay, and I've done enough recruitment and enough resume review to know that 90% of resumes are very poorly formatted. Right from that point, I think it creates a very poor impression in the first go when I look at a very shabby document of a very well-dressed person. Okay, there's immediate dissonance that you create. So it's the first impression, either in an interview or at a shortlisting stage. So the neater the document I see, the better I feel. So obviously packaging is very critical even here. So it is the first impression, and you must be sort of very clear that you present a very formal and a very clean, clear, neat impression with the recruiter. That's why it's important. Second, and this is probably the most important reason, is it is probably this and LinkedIn are probably your strongest shortlisting techniques, especially in lateral hiring. So in that case, a resume has to convey the right words. It has to have the right phrases so that it automatically gets shortlisted by any application tracking system that is used. So obviously that's its reason. The third thing you have to understand is it is a relevant summary. Okay. So I've done a lot of things in my life, but as far as this session is concerned, there are only 3 things that I need to say to you, which will sort of establish a certain credibility in front of my audience. I don't need to go into everything that I've done in my life. The same way, when you're applying for a job, you may have worked 30 years. I don't need to know all 30 years. Okay, somewhere you can mention a little bit and whatever and all that. So, Suma very nicely said, it's also the founder of Earthsook. Fine, that's a bit of my existence. It's there on record. But beyond that, I'm not going to use this time to talk about handicrafts in India and why I got into that idea. Right? So the same way, you may have worked for a long time, but a recruiter is not interested in everything. So you must make sure that you present a relevant summary to the recruiter, a relevant set of things to a recruiter. So deciding on your candidature becomes very easy. You don't muddle or confuse the recruiter. Okay, so that's another reason why it's important. And lastly, and this is often the most underappreciated part of resume writing, is it leads to a severe round of introspection, of looking inwards to say, okay, let's say that, just out of saying that this is the trend that is happening. Some of you may want to join the analytics field. That's very common these days, right? I want to get into analytics. Okay, so fine, that's happening. Data is the new oil. Things everybody is trying to do analytics. Whatever you see, your own company is doing a lot of analytics. Fine, that's a good reason to do analytics. But are you really fit for analytics? Do you have the required experience? Do you have the required skills? So when you actually write a serious resume, you will inevitably ask the question, what am I good at? And if I'm interested in a certain role, am I even, do I have the justification to apply for this role, or am I just sending one more application in a series of carpet bombing application activity, Okay, so if you write it seriously, you will be forced to think what you are good at and what are the roles which will be relevant for somebody that comes with your skills. Okay, these are all underappreciated reasons of resume writing, which is why if you really dig a little deeper into resume writing, you will find that it is not a simple activity. There is a lot of effort that needs to go in. There's a lot of thinking that needs to go into resume writing. Okay, so that is why resume is important. Secondly, I'll establish some ground rules. Okay, these are very quick things. You can actually read it. There's nothing here. First rule, I mean, this is so basic, and I've seen this so many times that it has made it to this slide. Please name your CV correctly. Please don't say my CV version 1, my CV Swaroop's comments. Why is my name sitting on your CV name? Okay, and imagine if an HR got 15 or 500 resumes which say my resume. How is a person even supposed to remember which document to open? Right? So the best way is name underscore CV. As simple as that. You're not a software patch. I don't need to know that your version number 1.3.6. Just say name underscore CV. As simple as that. That's what a recruiter wants to see. Okay. And please get all your basic details right. No mistakes in your email ID, in your phone number, etc. Okay. So yeah, I'm giving you very granular stuff. I know some of this may sound very childish to you, but these are things that create a very bad first impression. So we'll cover it. Then I think in resume writing, you can avoid articles to whatever extent possible. So you can drop a and the. You can absolutely remove all pronouns, I, me, our, they, them, whatever, because all pronouns are automatically implied in resume writing. If you do this, you will actually find that the length of your sentences will shrink remarkably. Okay, that's the number of times we use the word a and the or I, me, myself. Okay, so that's one thing. These are tricks to sort of make your sentences crisper. It's what is I call lossless compression. So you reduce the total amount of data in the system, but the net information that you convey still remains the same. So removal of pronouns in articles is a very common thing that is done. And also please avoid using random capital letters. You can see that I have done it here. There is no reason on earth for this to be capital C and capital L. Absolutely not required. Okay. It is small c and small l. Okay. So please, client is God, but the C is still small. So please don't write every word starting with capitals. It just creates an annoyance when somebody is reading the resume. Okay. Then please, I know you've got X plus whatever years of experience. If you cannot say the story in 2 pages, then you probably cannot say the story. Okay, you've lost the game. So nobody reads. You yourself have done recruitment. If somebody gives you a 15-page CV, you will be like, okay, man, I don't want to read this. Just tell me what there is, right? So ideally 1 page, but 1 page is very hard for beyond 4 or 5 years of experience because there are enough things that have been done. So max 2 pages, 1.25, 1.5, that kind of a thing. So in that, in that short, crisp document, you're able to, without any doubt, articulate what you have done. Okay. Now, many of you will automatically, your heads will be buzzing with the question. Now, I've worked for 15 years, 18 years, 20 years, whatever. How can I write it in 2 pages? Please understand that when you're applying for any job, what is relevant is the last 7 years of your work. In fact, if you have 25 years of experience, what you were doing then and what you're doing now don't even, I mean, in the sense, if you just present it as 2 things to a child, they'll say that these 2 are not related at all. And they are not. Right from programming languages to technology to use of tech, right? Like the whole email driven thing and WhatsApp and calling it, they used to sit and type letters and all. So a lot of things have remarkably changed. So the detailing of your experience needs to be limited to the last 7, maximum 10 years. 10 is also pushing it. Okay. So beyond that, you can just simply condense your resume into prior stints include A, B, C, D, E. That's it. Just state your total employment record. There is absolutely no need to get into any details of your initial days of work. Honestly, nobody cares. And think back, as a recruiter, think back, when you have interviewed people, you basically talk about the last job. At max, if that last job was a very short stint, you talk about the job before that. Then why do you want to write reams of stuff about things that happened 20 years ago? Absolutely not relevant. Okay. So no, the CV should not be longer than 2 pages. A CV is a list of bullet points, and no bullet points can go into the 3rd line because absolutely nobody reads. You have to learn to write short, crisp, concise statements that without ambiguity will convey what you have done. Okay, so that's very important. So and then start using bullet points like you need to start your bullet points with power verbs like manage, design, proposed, analyzed, etc., etc. And then, of course, to shorten sentences, I've given you some examples here. We tend to write successfully completed. Would you have written if it was unsuccessful? There is no use for that word. So just say completed. Responsible for managing. Just say managing, managed, whatever, right? So these are all double verbs, what I call, absolutely not required. Okay, an adjective followed by a verb. So adverb and a verb, absolutely not required there. Just write power verbs and what you did. Okay, that's typically how bullet points have to start. And then don't start multiple bullets with absolutely the same power verb. It's meaningless. It gets very boring to read. Okay. Now comes the single most important ground rule that I want to establish as far as resume is. A resume is not a job description. Okay. It is about what you did about that job description that you're trying to capture. A resume, by definition, is a list of relevant achievements of the person for the job role being applied for. So they have to be what you actually did, not what you were supposed to do as circulated in the JD given by HR. Okay, let's get that very clear. One of the reasons why our resumes become 15 pages, 8 pages, 7 pages, whatever, is because we write this very ominous section under each work called key responsibility areas. A lot of you are, in fact, most of you are practicing project managers. Now, irrespective of project management, irrespective of which sector, project management, whichever sector, the nature of project management does not change. There is a charter, there is a work breakdown structure, there is resource allocation, there is SLA, whatever, the whole series of things that project management, right? There is no need to say it. If you are saying, I do project management for this industry, it is understood what you do. Most recruiters know what is project management. If they do not know what is project management, they do not have the justification to hire. Let's get that straight. So it is pointless to waste space on a resume to define what is project management. What a CV needs to have is what have you done about this particular project management activity. Okay, and when we see the examples, we will really understand what I'm talking about. But you have to get this very clear in your head that a resume is a list of achievements. Now, I want to clarify one thing here. Most of us tend to misunderstand the meaning of achievement. Achievement is not an award. An award is a recognition of an achievement. Let's be very clear. Okay. So the Padma Shri award is given in recognition of various achievements that people have done. There are hundreds of thousands and millions of people in this country who have not got a Padma Shri for various reasons. Doesn't matter, but that does not reduce their capability or achievements that they have done. Same way, whether or not you got Star of the Quarter award, Pat on the Back award, Accenture Celebrates Excellence award, whatever, doesn't matter. You still solved problems. You added value. You created something of importance to either the organization or the client. That is a list of achievements. In some cases, you got an award. Okay. So when I say a resume is a list of achievements, please do not confuse it with a list of awards. Nobody cares of your awards. Many awards that you get are actually just, retainer awards. If they give you the award, you feel a little nice about, the organization and you continue to stay for another quarter. Okay. There are cases when you have solved absolute problems and nobody even recognized it. But that is what you built as skills. That is what your ability is. So a resume is a list of those points. Okay. So this is the single most important thing. Then the other thing that I have observed when I have seen a lot of project management resumes is they tend to sort of become very non-technical in nature. Please understand that as a project manager, you're a technical person. You're a technocrat. You may be involved in management of people, but it is not people management. It is project management. So whenever you write, please bring out your technical strength. I'm not saying coding strength. I'm saying technical strength. Your understanding of the use of technology to ultimately solve a business problem has to come out unambiguously. This is the key to writing a good resume. The key to writing a good resume is to explain your work in the larger context of things. Okay. So bring out your technical aspects and bring out the business aspects. What did this do for your client? If your client were to describe your work, how would they describe your work for? So let's take an infrastructure thing and say you built a tunnel for someone, right? So you will say, I project manage the boring. Okay, that's all fine. That's fine. You got this machine, that was named Elizabeth. You finished in 2 days. All that is fine. You can write all that. But somewhere you also have to say that you actually bore a tunnel connecting one side of Nimhans to another. Right? So which is what was the reason the project existed. That is also very critical to explain. because you have to show a certain maturity, and given the Vertex profile of this cohort, it is even more important to show that you get the larger picture. So there are two things additionally that is important to write a good resume. One is you bring out the technical pieces of your work, because ultimately I want to hire someone who understands technology. If I'm giving IT as an example, you take the relevant meaning of that for whatever other sector you are from. And the second thing is, I want to hire someone who understands what is happening. Why are we doing this particular project? Okay, so you need to bring out the bigger picture. So these are some basic ground rules. I think there are some questions that have come here, so just give me a second. Okay. Okay, visual CV versus plain text CV for senior positions. Okay. Okay, so there's a question here. Atif has a question saying, should we use a visual CV versus a plain text CV? See, I'm not a fan of the infographic formats, and I'll tell you why. Okay, maybe because I'm also biased. So one is that it is lot of space, not enough words. So you can't really understand what the person has done. Ultimately, you'll say project management and you'll write definition of project management. That is just meaningless. Okay. Second is it takes up a lot of space to say things which actually take very little space to say. You'll draw some major arrow to show your education, which is actually 2 lines, your undergrad, postgrad, and your done, right? So those kinds of things. So I'm not a fan, but again, it's a freedom of expression is enabled in this country. So I'm nobody to say you should not. I mean, some sample formats will get shared after this presentation. I've already sent it to Saujanya. But really, there's no use to, no point in writing a visual kind of a thing. I don't see the point. It doesn't impress anybody. Okay. And you yourself think back. No, have you ever been impressed with the infographic format? It doesn't say anything. You're like, what do I ask this person? What has this person really done? That kind of thing. Okay. You don't need a picture. Definitely don't need a photograph on a CV unless you're applying for a sales role. Nobody else really cares how you look like. And you definitely don't need your certification logos. Just write your certification. It's just 3 words. So I don't see the point. Even for somebody who has 25 years of experience, 2 pages. I don't care how many years of experience you have to say the most relevant stuff within 2 pages. It's not hard. And once we go into the next bit, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Okay. So I think we have taken all of these questions. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's go to the next one. So there are 2 types of resumes. Okay. Most of us tend to follow what is called a chronological resume, which is basically where you latest job first, and then so we go in reverse chronological order. Okay, so it is largely designation based, and that sort of degenerates into project based form of writing. Okay, so that's one. The problem with a chronological resume is it's very hard to highlight the skills that you have developed, because skills are developed not project wise but across projects. Okay, so it becomes very hard to combine things which are similar across projects. Okay, so it's very, you write project, you tend to get very repetitive, right? You project manage this, project manage this, project manage that kind of thing. Whereas the skill you've learned is common across all of these projects. Right? So it's not really conducive to writing something where your skill gets highlighted very, very strong. Okay, and when you're looking at slightly senior roles, okay, there nobody cares about individual projects. They basically see, do you get the larger picture? Do you have allied skills? Do you have other sort of skills also which are required for the kind of transitions? So there's really no need to write project wise. It becomes very, very tedious. Okay. The other thing is it's very hard to customize a project wise CV, because each project in itself is frozen. So you can't really play around with that. The other problem you'll find is that in a project-wise CV, you can't change the order, right? So your initial project in your current job may actually have been the most relevant piece of work that you did for the job that you're applying for. But because you have put this in a chronological format, you are forced to write the latest project first. And last 1 year, maybe you did some really dud projects, right? But you're forced to write it. So it becomes very hard to customize this to various roles that are required. So the solution to this is to write what is called a functional resume. Okay, where what I call the least count of the resume is actually a skill, something that you're good at. Okay, and it also becomes very easy for a recruiter to read the relevant parts of the CV, and you'll understand what I'm saying once we get into some of these things. Okay, and it also helps you combine similar achievements across designations. It's easier to customize, And if you're trying to move out of what you're doing or try to move into or get sort of what you say jump up in your career, you're using your current experience, but you're trying to move into something a little more, a little different, that kind of thing, where your core project management skill is useful, but you're trying to move into something slightly different. Then it becomes very hard to do using a chronological resume. You have to use a functional resume for those kinds of activities. Okay. So when I know there might be some little doubt here in terms of what a functional resume is, we'll just get into that and all your doubts will sort of get cleared. Okay. Sorry, there's a question here. Yeah, Sri Krishna says, is it right to mention client names in the projects? Okay. So usually client names are not advised. Okay. For some weird reason here. Everybody knows everybody's client, especially IT industry. Nobody gives exclusive contracts to TCS or Infosys, or they will split it as a de-risking strategy. But still, we don't want to. Like JP Morgan is everybody's client, okay? But okay, we still don't say it because of some deep sense of confidentiality. So let's not break that. So don't use client names. Just disguise it as leading US banker, leading US retailer, leading US technology giant, that kind of stuff. Okay, but it's very important to bring out the sector of the client. Okay. Yeah, Abhishek has a question. I'll just finish the questions as we go along. Do we add core competencies on top? Yes, of course. We'll come to that. I'll show you a typical resume structure and your question will get answered. Okay. So this is clear so far. So ultimately what I recommend is a merger of these two, because you can't write a purely functional resume. It becomes very tedious to read. So the sample, if when you look at the sample, when you get it, and I'll show you now also, you'll see that, company wise, we maintain chronological order. So latest company, then before, but within each company, we write what is called a functional structure. Then you maintain sanity, and it's easy for a recruiter to understand what you have done. So we will ultimately use that kind of a format. Okay. So now let's get into some details. This is where it will get a little heavy. Okay. So I think we are a little behind time. I hope that's okay, right?
That's perfectly fine, Swaroop.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So here's what you write as typical sections of a good resume. What I mean by section is what kinds of content has to be there on a resume. So the first thing, and this answers, Abhishek's question, is you need a profile summary. Visually, you don't need that ugly box of top competencies, but yeah, if you like that box, then write it. But whatever, we'll come to what to write there, what not to write there. Okay, sorry, there's another question. I'll answer it. I like answering questions. So Atit says, how to add client details or sectors if major experience is product based? Then you don't add. It's as simple as that. But what is the product feature? So sector client functionality gets replaced by product feature. Simple. What did you do to enable a certain feature on your product, which ultimately leads to a certain and of course, if it's a B2B product, there will be sector specific stuff that you do, which you can automatically build in. But if you work in a B2C product, you just look at product features. Okay. Okay, Panindra says, these days most companies are asking us to create a profile on their career portals in chronological order, and having a functional resume will not serve this purpose. Correct, which is why I said, Panindra, we will not follow a purely functional format. Within a role, within a company experience that you have, you can definitely create a functional format. We are not creating functional across companies. We are saying within each company, we will create a functional format which should solve your particular problem. Okay. So now coming back to what are the sections that we should write. So first is a summary, and we'll do each of these in detail. Then a professional experience in a semi-functional manner. Then certifications, you use the most relevant ones, of course, and if you're doing any, we'll again cover that. Then you need a little bit about your academic background. Of course, that should come much later. Nobody cares where you studied. And of course, you got your extracurricular activities. It's a non-essential section. However, if you are very deeply attached to some hobby or social service or something that you do, you can definitely mention it. But nobody really cares. Ideally, you should write a CV where they don't get to this point. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay. So now what we'll do is we'll get into each section, and I'll give you some guidelines about how to write each section. Okay. So making each section perfect. So let's look at that. So profile summary will have 3 lines. Okay. You cannot have a half a page summary. A resume, by definition, is a relevant summary of your achievements for the role that you are interested in. So summary of a summary cannot be half a page because the whole document itself is only 1.5 pages. So half of 1.5 pages cannot be a summary. It has to be 3 lines. 3 lines which very, very succinctly convey what is it that you're good at and what you're looking for. Okay. So you'd write 1 line on career objective. Frankly, I'm not a big fan of career objective because nobody knows what their career objective is. But okay, many people are super fascinated with their career objective. So I have some rules for career objective. Okay. So you need to clearly say what you are looking for. Okay. Please do not write random English. Just because you studied something in 5th standard, you don't have to use all those words. Don't say I'm looking for a challenging job in a very multicultural environment for enhancing my customers' top line, bottom line, and adding to organization. Some rubbish like that. Okay. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. So finally, as a recruiter, I can tell you, sorry, we don't do any of this. I'm going to reject you. You're a good candidate, but we don't offer what you're looking for. Honestly, none of you read that silly career objective that many people write on that in the own CVs that you use. Please write a very, very specific line saying, I'm looking for these kinds of roles. Okay. Then you write 2 to 3 lines of summary. 2 lines is more than enough. 1 line for number of years, which industry sectors you've worked in and what business functions you have been associated with. And 1 line, and this is the most important line, and this is the line that, sorry, 1 second, that Abhishek was referring to, is you write a list of skills. Now I've used a certain term here. I have called it transferable skills. Okay. Okay. So what I mean by transferable skills is you've built a certain set of skills in the past. Okay. Some of them are more relevant than others for the job that you're applying for. So here you should write those skills. So at 15 years, 18 years of experience, programming is not a skill that you must be very skilled at programming. There is no doubt about it, but you don't write it here. Okay. So this line is very hard to write. Okay. Because you have to suddenly start thinking of yourself as a set of skills and not a set of projects. And this is where I have found a lot of people struggle because it becomes very tedious to bend your mind to start thinking in a different way because you're so used to project 1, project 2, project 3, project 3, or we are so used to I'm good at C++, I'm good. You have to start thinking skills. You have to start thinking functional skills. Okay. So 1 line of key transferable skills from your past to the roles that you're looking for, and this helps you customize your CV in many ways to make your profile friendly to a recruiter in many ways. So I've put up an example here. Let's look at it. I've put up an IT example for obvious reasons. Same things apply. So PMI certified IT professional with 10 years of experience, and you've also said you've got 4 years international with TCS and Infosys. You can write that if you want. You don't need to write it if you want. That is also okay. Seeking roles in program management or analytics project delivery. Very precise definition of career objective. I am looking for these roles. Now you can come back and say, oh, this will limit my options. It should. Because at 15 years of experience, you can't apply for everything in the world. Okay. But if you still feel you're open for everything, just remove that line. No problem. Building that first bit of experience into the next line itself. Okay. But what I would highly recommend is you say, I'm looking for these kinds of roles. Experience in building and delivering IT solutions for US and European clients in pharma and retail. So you've got IT, you've got which industry sectors that you've worked in. You also got your number of years of experience here. For supply chain and logistics functions. So the business functions that you have been exposed to has also been included here. Then comes the most critical line, and you will say, and please understand that project management, that is not the only skill you have. It doesn't exist in isolation. Expertise in project management, business analysis, team management, technology consulting, process improvement, and client engagement. These are about 6-7 skills that people have written. Now, what we tend to do is we will write that box, and then box we will write 16 skills. Nobody reads 16 skills. In fact, this is also too much. I feel you should write only 3 or 4 solid skills that you have, which are very, very relevant for the role that you're applying. Now, this line is ultimately what is going to become the anchor point of your resume, and the functional, quasi-functional resume that you're going to be creating is going to be centered around these particular skills. Okay, so you understand this is a summary. Now, as a recruiter, whether I'm a headhunter or a line manager, I read this. I know whom I am dealing with. I can decide after reading these 3 lines whether I want to talk to this person further or not. And you can really customize that last line because the bouquet of skills you have may be larger than this. You may also have a technical architect skill, you may have a costing skill, you may have a vendor management skill, depending on what kind of project management you've done. That's fine. So you can keep changing these. You can write these words differently for different roles that you are looking to apply for, still maintaining the same 5 to 6 skills that are relevant for the job going forward. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I want you to do a small exercise. Take down 5. We are at 11:50. Let's take till 11:55 and all of you jot down your own profile summaries. Okay. So I'll just do a quick edit here just to explain. Suppose you are not sure of what your career objective is. Okay. You can check this, and this will be your profile summary. Okay. As you write your own summaries, there are a couple of questions, and I'll take that. On the certifications we hold, is it better to add icons or simply mention? Yeah, you can just simply mention. Yeah. I mean, I don't see anybody. See, the thing is, ultimately, shortlisting, if it's done by a machine can't do pattern recognition. Or at least no ATS does pattern recognition. They only look for keywords. So you can write. But ultimately, see, boss, format is your call. Okay. If you think adding that logo will visually improve your CV, creates a better impression, feel free to add it. I am nobody to prevent you. I personally don't think it's a great value. I find it distracting because I read documents. The resume is a document. Surya has a question. If CV is simplified as per your suggestion, how would I? This is the keywords, no? These are all the keywords. If you see, most JDs will have all of these keywords. That's where we come to customizing. You can actually change these words. Somebody may say program management, and you may want to write. Of course, I know project and program management are different, but you can change these words. Somebody instead of team management may say people management. You write people management. Instead of technology consulting, somebody may say technology advisory. So you change consulting to advisory. So all the keywords are actually built into these 3 lines only. If you really look at it from a keyword point of view, all the keywords that you're looking for are actually present in the first 3 lines itself. They're all there. It's not an ugly box. That's fine. That's just a formatting issue. I leave that. Okay. Does that answer your question, Surya? They're all here. Cool. So why don't we take another 2-3 minutes to just try and jot down your profile summaries. It'll give you a good idea. Yes, Ricky, a good question. A resume is a set of bullets, boss. Nobody reads paragraphs. Please don't write paragraphs. So this is a very typical example. I'll leave the example here. Jyotsna has a quick question. Need some guidelines on video. Who's using a video resume? I mean, really? People are asking you for video resume. It's a very tedious process, actually. I mean, first of all, it's ATS unfriendly because I have to do text, right? I have to do voice to text, and we don't have that. Okay, so okay, I'll tell you some guidelines at the end. I'll have it mailed across. Okay, Shankar has a very relevant question here. What about qualities like taking ownership, being proactive, and all that? See, boss, honestly, nobody is going to shortlist a CV saying somebody is written, takes ownership, and is proactive. Honestly, that is not a criteria for CV shortlisting at all. Now, how do I judge somebody's sense of ownership, somebody's sense of being proactive, somebody's sense of being hardworking, sincere, whatever? I think that comes across in an interview. And that is how you actually change, decide in an interview whether I want to hire someone or not. So the way you present your work, the way you talk about it, the passion with which you explain in an interview is ultimately what decides on all the behavioral qualities. Because just writing behavioral qualities on a resume is absolutely useless, because you just cannot prove that you are proactive by writing you are proactive. So there is no need for any of these hardworking, proactive, problem solving kind of stuff. Problem solving, etc., I understand are important skills, but that needs to come out in the way you have written the CV. By reading the examples of what you're writing in the CV, I will decide whether you're a good problem solver or not. Okay. So, okay, Ramchandra has done a good job. He's written. Okay. I would still say that you need to add a few more skills. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Swaroop.
Rachna has a very interesting question. How do you accommodate or present break in a resume? You just say it as it is. The timeline just shows a break. Simple. Yeah, okay. Couple of more skills for Kaushik, otherwise that is good. And resume should be monochrome. Absolutely. Please don't make it a PPT. Okay. Okay. So Avantika has a good question here. If you're in the same company for multiple, then you can just show your designations one after the other and then write a functional format. Ultimately, you don't need to show it also. Yeah? It's okay. Nobody really cares. Just show your last current designation. It's fine. Okay. So cool. I think you're getting a hang of it. Some of you have sent it to me and it looks fine, but you need to add a little more skills. So please do not concentrate your skills only on project management, because project management cannot exist as a silo. It is involved with architecture. It is involved with costing. It is involved with finance. It is involved with managing the team. It's involved with business analysis, and a lot of times in IT, it's involved with technology consulting. So please include those, because see, you may not have been a technical architect, but you may possess basic skills of doing technical architecture, and you can definitely write that on a resume. Create a bouquet of skills to showcase your experience in a more rounded fashion. Of course, your core skill definitely is project management. There is no doubt about that. Okay. So now let's get into okay. So let's get into, we've done this. Let's do work experience. Okay. So for each company that you work, and this is where it becomes a quasi-functional format, for each company that you work, you need to write one line of work context, which is what was your larger team doing across multiple projects and whatever and all. So because see, if you say I work in TCS, there are 400,000 people. So the recruiter has to ultimately be able to box you into one thing, saying that this division of TCS, that person is working. So you say, part of a team responsible for IT infrastructure needs of logistics and whatever function of a leading US trucking company, whatever, right? So at least you know that this is the context in which I need to read the rest of the points. Below that, you can write one line with specific responsibilities, but really there is no use, because beyond a point, please don't make it a job description. You can write 3-4 keywords there. Then under each skill identified in summary, you create a subheading. Okay. And under that, you write specific achievements from various projects, which including the awards that you've got for that, which clearly bring out that you have this particular competency. So when you say my skill is project management, give 4-5 examples or 8-10 examples which clearly bring out that you actually have project management capability. And this has to be a very specific statement. So a lot of people get till here, and when they get into the specific achievement parts, it doesn't really make sense. Okay, people will just start writing the definition of project management. Now is where you have to really apply your projects and say, in this project I learned this aspect of project management. In this one, I learned that aspect of project management. So you have to give very specific examples, which you ideally write in the context action result format to, without any ambiguity, clearly establish that you know project management. So then as a recruiter, if I'm looking for project management capability on your CV, I just go read these 5 points and I talk about these 5 points in the interview, and I'm convinced that you actually know project management. Okay. So that's what you need to do. Are we clear? Are we getting a sense of what we need to do? Let's look at an example and it'll become very clear. Okay. So here's a product example, incidentally. I mean, not out of, I didn't have any divine notion that you'll ask for this one. So here, it's essentially in a product company, you have done project management. Okay. So you identify your skills as project management, process improvement, people management, technology consulting, and business development. So that goes in your profile summary line. Okay. Then within that, you create specific instances where you clearly show you understand project management and process. Okay. Let's do a little bit of deep dive on this and you'll understand what I'm saying. So this is Sage Intacct, a company in Bangalore, where your latest designation is lead engineer. You write all that. This is the timeline. Okay. Then you say involved in project management of digital payments and financial services IT products for Sage Intacct. Very clearly saying that Sage Intacct has some digital payment and financial services IT products, and you are involved in the project management of these particular products. Okay. Which essentially means that you are helping implement this product for various instances for various clients. Okay. So that is what is called work context. After this time, if you want to, now you see, instead of then me scratching my head and figuring out Sage Intacct, everything else you have written below, I'm able to see the context of this one bullet point. That is why this bullet point is called work context. Okay. Then project management and process improvement. So you've taken those skills. Now you may want to split them as 2 also, which is also okay. But sometimes you feel that, a lot of your project work in the product company was actually to do with process improvement. So you want to improve the two together. You see this flexibility you'll never get in a chronological basis. So you write that. Okay. So here you're saying you managed a team of 12 for requirement gathering, design, implementation, testing, integration, and support of multiple projects worth $400,000 revenue. So you're basically saying I managed a team of 12. Then you say spearheaded transition spin-off project for this ahead of schedule, saving $800,000 for the firm. So basically you're building in multiple competencies here. So you say you know how to do a project transition. Basically it was sitting in the US and you brought the project here. Okay, so you're building a project transition skill here. Then you say turned around troubled data migration project, preventing potential revenue loss of $35,000. So here you are saying that you know data migration, you know how to handle data migration projects. You also know how to turn around projects which are in the red, which is also another key part of project management capability. Then you say reduced backlog of escalations by defining SOPs clearly, institutionalize company-wide adoption by conducting workshops. So there you're again building in multiple things, saying that I know how to do, how to reduce escalations in a project, and you know how to write SOPs. So you see the specificity that is built in here. There is action, there is result, there is action, there is result, that kind of a format of writing. So when I read this as a recruiter, I don't have any doubt that you actually know project management. And you're able to very clearly substantiate your skill in project management by giving very specific examples of what you have done. Now, these are different projects where you have done different aspects of project management, but you are combining all of that into project management. Are you able to see what this is able to do to your resume? So now, if as a project management, suppose I want to hire a project manager, I'm interested only in this bit. And each of this is a 10-minute discussion. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet points here. For 1 hour, I can talk to you only about project management. You can also go prepared for project management questions because these are very specific examples of various projects. So the deep dive that will happen in the interview will be about these instead of asking you some random question about project management. Here, enough keywords also further get built in: project turnaround, backlog, or whatever, all these kinds of. Okay. You have to also understand here that you have built in a technical piece. You have also built in a business piece. So clearly showing that, yes, I am very good at project management, but I understand the details, but I also understand the larger picture. Okay, so that is how you build good project management or good CVs. Project management is incident. Okay. Then people manage, so you built the team from scratch to 12, ensured zero attrition. And you collaborated with a cross-functional team across India, whatever, and ensured zero attrition, all these kinds of things. Okay. Then some consulting work, develop customized application and third-party integrations for sales organization, which increase conversion. So this is a consulting bit where you were able to provide some advisory in terms of what to do. Then you also did some business development, all these kinds of things. Okay. So these are also aspects of your work which you should include, because ultimately this may be very attractive to a recruiter and say, okay, now I want to hire this person for pre-sales, or I want to hire this person for technology consulting, right? So it opens up multiple avenues for you while keeping the core of your project management as the focus of the resume. Okay. Are you all getting a sense of what I'm saying here? Okay. Surya is very thrilled because this is what he's done. Fantastic. Okay. So, no, you don't need to really talk about the company too much. You need to talk about what you did in the company. Of course, if it's a very small company, you can say here, for example, maybe Sage Intacct is not known. You can say Sage Intacct is a leading provider of IT products in the digital payment and financial services space. Worked in project success team to ensure implementations across various clients are successful. Whatever, you can write that. That's fine. But you can build it into work context. There is no need to write some 2-3 lines about the company. You are selling yourself and not the company in the resume. Okay. What to write if we? Sorry, I'll take some questions here. I think it makes sense to take questions because they're very related to what I'm saying now. Okay. So how to write if we move from IC to PM role, right? Both. That's fine. Yeah. Please include awards here, no? For example, let me show you how to write awards here. So let's say you got an award here. Okay. Recognized with star of the quarter award. Simple. So now the star of the quarter also has some meaning. No, otherwise, why will people ask, yeah, oh, I have fine money, got some star of the quarter? Doesn't matter. That kind. Okay. You don't need to inform that you're being laid off because of COVID. Doesn't matter. Just say last job was till April 2020. That's fine. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I think I've taken all the relevant questions that people had. So let's look at another example. So this is a very long example, okay, because it's TCS in a long while. So it's actually split into two slides. Yes, Shankar, you do that. Yeah. So I've split it into 2 slides. So one piece is the project and program management. It's a very senior profile. I just recently finished work on the CV. Okay. So this is the project program management bit. Okay. And this slide will get shared. So you'll also have access to it. But just want to highlight a couple of things here. Okay. So one is within project management, you can highlight things like he's a very good communicator, very strong in people management and all that. So he wants to highlight certain things. So using servant leadership style, enable team to achieve whatever. So you can bring in those kinds of pieces also. Then as on-site multi-project manager for UK insurer, solve problem of low CSAT and high whatever, right? Stuff like that. By identifying issues of lack of communication of project priorities and high work in progress projects in portfolio compared to resources. So you're basically saying, I know these kinds of issues exist within project management. You see, this line is very rich. It may seem a lot of English, but it's not. It actually brings out to the recruiter that you understand what all can be wrong with the project, right? You see, that is the beauty of writing in this thing. Some places, you'll say reduced 20% time and all that. And a lot of times there is also there is, the technical piece built in here, and then there's a technical piece. In the next one, you'll find a lot of the technical pieces. Okay. Then this, of course, is the work context, which is part of the insurance subvertical program, managing data and digital transformation projects for UK-based insurance giant. Make it very clear what is it that you were good. What is the work context that you are involved in? Okay. Then, of course, there's a technology consulting piece, because in 16 years of project management, you would have no doubt been involved in many pieces where you're doing advisory on technology. So here you build in your DevOps, Tech Architect, RStudio, AWS, all these kinds of various examples. Then where was that? Yeah, recommended. Work with architects and SMEs to suggest recoding ETL app in Informatica to avoid upgrade cost and complexity due to compatibility issues during tech debt remediation. So a lot of things are built in, right? It's a very rich statement. You say, I understand technical debt, I understand ETL, I understand legacy, I understand Informatica, I know how to do compatibility issues, I know how to do technical upgrades. So, and the cost of this upgrade. So you are building in so much richness into this point, which makes it very clear that you get the overall picture that people are using. Yeah. So when I say okay to use so many short forms, yeah, why not? ETL is a known short form, and SME, subject matter experts, all of that you can do, no problem. I mean, if a company is hiring you and they don't know ETL, then you have to ask whether you want to go to that company. Okay. Then some things around client engagement. Let's look at another example. This is also very very heavy example. I think we are okay with examples. So again, see, I'll just teach you work context again here. Led 15-member core team for designing and implementing operations of HPCL, state-of-the-art green R&D center, expertise in project management, vendor management, planning and strategy, people and stakeholder management, technology for process improvement. Okay, this can actually be your summary only. And then within that, you write all of these and you can include a lot of numbers. So Ricky, good question. Is it advisable to add numbers associated with this experience? Definitely, but it's not mandatory to add a number in every bullet point. Wherever possible, please quantify your achievements. It's one of the things that I've written in the first slide also. Wherever possible, please quantify the impact of your work. It makes for very good reading. Okay. Correct, Shankar. We don't need to talk about each project individually. Yes, Prasad, we'll share this with you. Okay. So cool. Yeah. So there's another example. This is again IBM. Then this is in Ambuja Cements. Financial management. Okay, we can look at a financial management sample. Let me see if I have something. Okay. So Ambuja Cements, again, it's a lot of project operations. It's actually in a mine. I know this person, he worked in the mine and he did a lot of work there. So yeah, so all those kinds of things here. So strategic planning, design. So you see, the ultimate takeaway from this particular set of examples that I have given you is really that it is really that your skill is not just project management. There is a set of things which enable project management, which also I think we should highlight, which will also help you expand your horizons. And I think that is the biggest thing that you sort of need to take away. Okay. So some questions here. Latest example has bold in the statements. Ricky, that's just optional. I gave it as an example because some people choose to write that. I'm not a big fan, but it leaves it to you. So then, hang on. Okay. Then Ramakrishna says, we need to include companies work with less than 1 year? No, you can just say worked here from this time to this time, but full employment record has to be included. Brijesh says, do we need a separate section for skills? It's the first something is just skills, man. Come on. Okay. If you're handling multiple roles, Dean sale has to go on mute, please. Yeah, okay. So multiple roles in startup. So just list all the roles, no? So say you're doing financial planning, you're doing accounting, you're doing whatever. Just they are the subheadings. Very simple. Okay. If we keep these many sections in our last role, how do we accommodate? If I worked in 6 to 7 companies in 2 pages, I've answered this. I'm going to say it again. You don't have to talk about all 6, 7 companies in detail. Okay. So just the latest 2 companies you can write at this level of detail and then move to a simple non-functional structure. But please don't write project-wise. Is it advisable to put a key achievement section? No. A resume is a list of achievements. If there is a key achievement section, then what is the rest of your CV? Okay. Cool. So I'll share this presentation with you. You will get an idea. You can also refer to it. Then other sections are, so all certifications related to project management, any business side certifications. And then let's say you've done stuff on Coursera, Udemy, you've done something on data camp, and you've done something. So all those kinds of relevant certifications, you can customize these certifications based on the kind of job that you're applying for. Okay. But one thing to bear in mind here is I'm not a big fan of putting the logos here. It just makes it for distraction, and not all logos are known, man. People might not even know the logo. But okay, your call. If you want to put the logos, you can put the logos. And then extracurriculars really not needed. But I think Suma had a question there saying, what about social work and volunteer work? All of that can come in. You don't even have to call it extracurricular. Extracurricular is a very fresher resume now. You can say other activities, other achievements, whatever you want, right? You can definitely include. Volunteering is usually appreciated, so you can sort of do that. Okay. Then some formatting, keep it clean, keep it consistent, use simple familiar fonts. Don't write in more than one font. Don't write in more than 2 font sizes. Use only one level of bullet. Please do not over highlight, and please leave out useless information like your marital status, languages known. You will write like Konkani, Marathi, something. Boss, I want to know what technical languages you know. I'm not interested in what languages you can speak. Okay. Then I don't need your permanent address, your temporary address, current address, whatever. One fellow actually said happily married with children. I said, what rubbish? You can't write all of this on your CV. It's a professional document. You don't need to say date of birth. It's a painful thing to calculate age from date of birth. You can just add this one. You can add what do you say? Just the years, and they don't need to know that you're 37 years old, 8 months, and 12 days counting. 37 years is fine. Okay. And please include a LinkedIn profile, and whatever information you write on the CV, the same stuff goes on LinkedIn, but you have to fit it into LinkedIn's format. Education qualifications is just before other achievements. Okay. And Mahesh's Toastmasters is most relevant. Yeah, you can write it, no problem. So all those are relevant competencies. So you can include that. Yeah, then a quick note on customizing the resume for a particular JD. See, your experience is what it is, man. I think customizing this CV for JD is overrated because your experience is what it is. You can't create new stuff, or it is simply unethical to write stuff that you have not done. Very simple. Okay. The common sensical approach is, given this is my profile, and you write your profile without a JD, right? What are the JDs that I should be really looking for? That is the question you should not be asking, saying, oh, this is the JD, how do I create my profile for that? Because that just doesn't make sense. Okay. Having said that, there is a certain amount of customization which is possible. Okay. So look for keywords in a JD. Where do you look for in a JD? One set of keywords will come from the skills required section. Okay. And the other set of keywords will come from the key responsibilities section or job description that is there in the JD. Okay. And ideally, your transferable skills should overlap well with these keywords. And as long as you have done that, it's okay. So there you can use a particular terminology that is used in the JD to express the same competency that you have. Now, let's say somebody uses the word technology advisory instead of technology consulting or technical consulting or technology consultancy, whatever. So you change your resume to technology advisory, as simple as that. So those are the kinds of changes that you do. And like I told you, if you write at this level of description, this level of detailing, automatically lot of stuff will get built into your resume, right? So those keywords will already be there. So just go through your and all of that, and then see if some keywords need to be built in. But nobody expects 100% keyword match. And by definition, in your profile summary, 80% of keywords will already be mentioned, because transferable skills, sector, and function is ultimately what is going to define your keywords. Okay. So don't spend too much time customizing your CV. If you write a first principle CV from the way that I have told you now, I think a lot of our keywords automatically get done. Okay. Cool. So Pavan has a question. Can one put their you can, man, it doesn't, I don't see it making a difference. Ultimately, I want to know whether you can do project management. If it's allowed to write PMP, you can write PMP. That's fine. No problem. Cool. So I think we've gone well over time, but yeah, this is what I had. So can you now, I've answered a lot of questions, and I answered those questions then and there because they ask in the context of what I'm saying. Now, if you have any more questions, or if I left out a question, you can please ask now. I'm happy to answer questions.
Swaroop, do you want folks to unmute themselves and ask questions if possible? Now
Either
that
way
it
is
is
okay. I'm okay
possible
either
time.
way.
Guys, go ahead one by one. If you have questions, unmute yourself and you can ask questions.
So Sri Krishna says, do you think recruiters are biasing age as a criteria? See, that's a good question, Sri Krishna. So one way to cheat is to not put your age on the, but they'll know by your number of years of experience how old you are. But really, there is a bias, and sorry, some people have it, some people don't have it. You can't do anything about it. You can't hide the number of years you've worked, and ultimately, if it's a bias, they're going to come to you anyway. So just put it there. Those who care will not shortlist you. Those who don't care will shortlist you, and you're good. So I don't think you should worry too much because it's not under your control.
Harika asked for a sample resume on financial management.
I can have it sent. Yeah.
Okay.
But what do you do, Harika, so that I know I can send a relevant sample? Okay. Sorry, let me just finish those questions. Ramakrishna says, what about professional achievements? I didn't get your question. These are all professional achievements. Everything you've done in your life is a professional achievement. Every problem you've solved, every client success story, every escalation you've solved is a professional achievement. So your resume is a list of achievements. Okay. Then Vinay says, can you highlight on online job portal searching and application? Same thing. This is the slide, Vinay. Sorry. This is the slide. This is how you do. You read the JD, understand the JD, see what you have, what you don't have, and do it. Okay. Prasad says, what is the relevance of LinkedIn profile and recommendation endorsements? Okay, very good question. I think I'll take a minute to answer that. See, nobody really cares about the endorsements, okay? Because some 99 plus people have endorsed me for strategy, and I don't know serve strategy. Okay, first. Second thing is they look for recommendations, but recommendations from only two types of people. One is your boss. Okay, directly manage this person because bosses are very stingy. They don't write recommendations. Second is from your client saying that this person was my vendor or I was this person's client. This I scratch your back, your scratch my recommendations have absolutely no value. So two things recruiters look for from a LinkedIn profile. One is, of course, the content will have to be the same as your resume. That's a no-brainer. But most importantly, they look for common connections. Can I call up someone and say, listen, dude, this person has applied. Can I hire this person? One. Second, they're looking for recommendations from either clients or bosses. Okay. Okay, people just don't listen. Photo is not useful on a resume. I said that already. Okay. Giri says, suggestions for someone who wants to change field. Oh, very good, Giri. This will let you change. No. So let's say you're doing project management now, but you've done a little bit of business analysis, you've done a little bit of technology consulting, you've done a little bit of, say, pre-sales. Then you can highlight these pieces more on your resume than project management and use those as hooks to get into whatever role that you're looking for. So that's the beauty of the functional format. It lets you play it in multiple ways. I have, of course, shown the order in all these examples as project management first because you're all practicing project managers and you're looking for careers in project management. That's my assumption. That could be wrong there. So if you want to change that, move the stuff around. I'll give you let's go back to an example and I'll show you very quickly. So let's take this very long example. Yeah. Okay. So here, for example, in this TCS example, if you write technology consulting and client engagement first and then project management, suddenly you look like a technology consulting person. And this you can actually say analytics consulting because a lot of this is pure analytics. It's all analytics infrastructure setup. So that becomes the highlight of your CV. So it's easy to play it for multiple ways. Okay. One second. Somebody asked a question. Okay. Change field. Okay, cost management of consulting projects like budget. So those become your key skills, yeah? Variance analysis, budgeting, forecasting, costing, planning, strategy, MIS, reporting. All these become your key skills, and you write those skills there. That's all. As simple as that for the finance person. That's the rule. Okay. Suggestion for PMP certified but never handled project in the role of, see, that's the other beautiful thing about this, right? You don't need to be a project manager to write this so long as you have done project management activity. See, the functional resume makes it independent of designation as long as you've done the work and you can justify the work. So if you have done project management, various aspects of project management, you are actually being a project manager, you can still say project management because the word you're using is project management and not project manager, and hence there is no misrepresentation. Okay. Okay, cover letters. So, I mean, cover letters is like a dinosaur concept. Yeah, who uses cover letters anymore? Because people don't even read resume. Who reads cover letters? But having said that, cover letters should include where you saw the job posting, what is it about the job that really excites you, and what is in your profile that makes you a very good candidate for this job. Try and not make it a repeat of your resume. That's what goes on a cover letter. Then organization specific certifications. Yeah, definitely. If you've done Loma and all of that, yeah, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Or your TCS certified Six Sigma, that's fine. Okay. Devyani says, if worked in startups with no big names. Yeah, I mean, people are okay. You can't always hire somebody from TCS now. That's okay. Just see, very simple. You can't do anything about the fact that you worked in startups. Very simple. So write a functional CV, bring out various aspects of work that you've done, and then whatever will happen because you can't change that. Okay. Pushpendra says, how to manage mid-career crisis. I think hiring professional resume writer to write your resume point is a good option. Pushpendra, that's a very loaded question. I think any court will say this is a leading question. Cannot. Obviously, I'll say yes because that's my job. But if you can write a CV on your own, write it. No. What to include in email body when you're sharing CV through email to the recruiter? Just say, I saw this job application. I mean, so you can write your cover letter only if you want. Okay. How do we showcase volunteer and professional experience? So volunteer experience comes in other achievements. That's all. You put it there. So, like for example, your PMI work, Sajan, yeah, will be as you'll say, member board of the directors of PMI Pearl Cities chapter, and then you write specifically what you do, and you can say, pioneered a career enabler series, blah blah blah. You can write all that. Yeah, okay. I think I have answered all questions. Cool. Okay, one more. Yes, Tupati, they will ask you these questions. That's why I said you cannot do away with the technical piece of project management. They will definitely ask you, please be prepared for all that. It doesn't matter whether you have the, even I'm sure AM Nayak answered what technology they use for constructing LNG metros. You have to be technically very sound. There's no doubt about it. Any other questions? Yes, Atit, they will ask for technology, which is why if you saw some of the samples, you'll actually write what technologies you are involved in. So if you have done SAP, Salesforce, Oracle, you've used ServiceNow, you've used Informatica, whatever it is, right? Please build all that into your description of achievements, because that's where you build in all of that. If you find a resume with JD which has very specific technology requirements, in profile summary you can say exposure to this technology. That is also okay. LinkedIn profile is just look for Swaroop Karyakam, you'll find it. You can follow me, no problem. Dex is to go on.
Ask a question?
Oh, you want to ask a question? Okay.
Can I ask a question, Swaroop?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, several times what happens, no? You don't apply for a specific job, rather you apply to a portal on Naukri or some portals, you keep certain, relevant things, you look at it and apply. But several, whatever the opportunities that the portal throws out, several opportunities, but you don't feel like, you feel these are all not relevant. We can improve our search criteria by using keywords, but still, you have any suggestion on how to get a less number of, or what are these? But Naukri.
You're asking me to kill marketing, so that's not going to happen. See, that's a marketing problem. So even today, I get call center agent job. I mean, I'm of course one of all the portals now because I got spammed with that. So they'll pick some keywords. You understand, no? So there are many issues that you have. I mean, in the question that you have raised, there are many issues that exist. So one is Naukri is charging people, or all these portals are charging people to showcase their job descriptions also. So those ads will definitely show up. It's their marketing model. You cannot avoid it. Second thing is resumes are, I mean, the Naukri may or the portal may not have really figured out what you are really looking for, and basically some keyword search criteria, and you'll sort of figure out that this job may be relevant for this person. Okay, and their machine learning algorithms have all been trained on the garbage they receive. People write such rubbish on resumes. Sorry to use strong language, but they write such rubbish on resumes that you can't understand what the person has done. But they can only work with what they have. So this inefficiency in application will always remain. You will get a very mature system if everybody moves to a very sensible, meaningful form of resume writing, and JDs become very refined and very specific in terms of what they want. Then you've got the perfect two to match and build an algorithm that will identify. So till such time, this pain of getting whatever, you will remain. You cannot help it.
Okay. Thank you.
Non-IT engineers. I had no, Rachana. This is a non-IT engineer. Yeah, this is non-IT. This is mining, core mining. You'll have this deck, you will get it. Yeah, there'll be a couple of, there's nothing called an ATS friendly template because ATS doesn't recognize formatting. It recognizes only words. So long as you've written enough words, it will shortlist you. And if you write in this form, words will automatically be written. So we've just made it a very commonsensical way of writing. Okay. Any other questions? Cool. Thank you. I'm glad that you found it useful. So thanks again for. So this is my I don't know my email address. Right? Yeah. So here. Yeah, you can write to me at swaroop@karyakar.com if you want some help. I'm happy to engage. Otherwise, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's also fine. So back to you, Sajanya Suma. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Swaroop. I couldn't help myself from taking notes, even though I have reviewed resumes, I have revamped my resume quite a bit into various roles and all. Some of the pointers were awesome. Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
that.
Glad to be of help.
Yeah. So I hope all the others also felt the same. Just want to check regarding if anyone wants to share their thoughts regarding this. Guys, you can unmute yourself and talk about it.
Yes, Sumar.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, please continue. Sumar is talking about it.
Yeah, Suma Bhaskar here. Thank you very much for this session. And Swaroop, especially, this is an enabler. I know we are in this field, we are writing resumes and also we are reviewing resumes, but some of your points are really worth, and definitely it will help us to improve our CV to in a better state. And definitely whenever we go to any organization, definitely it will help us to shortlist. But thank you very much for all your points. Well taken. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Glad to be of use.
Thank you, Bhaskar. I saw Anant who had raised his hand to speak. Anant, you're here.
Yeah, Suma. Thanks for organizing such session. And Swaroop, it's really been kind of guiding because, as you said in the first sentence itself, we are kind of writing. It's a chronological resume, but yeah, it's kind of eye opener what people are looking for and what we should have in our resume. Though I heard many times our resume should not exceed 2 to 3 pages, still my resume is more than 4 pages at this moment, and it's having stuff like the address and that. So surely I'll follow your guidelines, and hope this will definitely give me chance. And thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anant. Just guys, don't drop off. Just stay put with us for a few more minutes. We are going to have some exciting things coming up. I would want Komal to just run a poll. Komal, are you ready with it? Okay. Now look onto your chat window. You see a poll. Friends, please go ahead and take the poll right away. We have time limit of 2 minutes. Last few seconds remaining. Please take the poll. This will help us in understanding our audience better and to take in feedback and plan even the forthcoming sessions more well. So please do take the poll.
In the meantime, people can ask questions if they have.
Yeah. Anyone else wants to share their experience or thoughts?
Yes, Suma, this is Ramchandra.
Hi, Ramchandra. Please go ahead.
First of all, thanks for Suma, Madhav, and Saujanya for arranging this session. Actually, so it is very useful session for the many of us. And presently, as I'm looking for an opportunity as well, this is very right session with the good information with the right person. And coming to this Swaroop, thanks so much for your session. Seriously, because I'm in a phase where I want to rebuild or restructure my resume, and I think it is a very good time to start with your inputs, and definitely if I have having any things, I will connect with you in the personal.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Welcome anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. While we are on this, we can take one more person sharing their experience. Anyone else?
Ms. Swaroop, I mean, your session was extremely useful and very pertinent. Though, I mean, irrespective of a person's experience, I mean, revamping CV is a continuous exercise. So your inputs were very valid. Okay. And I thank PMI PCC chapter for organizing this, because our community will have people with more experience, less experience, and freshers, etc. Okay, so for many people, it would have been a very useful session.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you so much for those inputs. Guys, just stay with us for a few more minutes. I just have some more announcements to make. All of us have gone through this phase, right? Good things happen when we get involved with PMI and PMI PCC. This has been a tagline ever since. I have some announcements for all those new members who joined in during this year 2020. Though we started off on a very good note, then we still have a little bit of a
Suma,
challenge.
sorry to barge in.
Uh-huh.
I've got to go, so thanks. We'll talk to you. I'll connect with you offline.
Okay, can you stay on for 5 more minutes or you got to go?
Yeah, I have to rush something at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
cool.
you so
Thanks.
much,
Bye. Bye, guys. Stay safe. Yeah. Bye.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Swaroop.
Yeah. Bye, Saujanya. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Yeah. So we have our new members orientation program that's coming up on the 5th of July at 10:30 a.m. You must have received the email invite for it this morning. So please check out, register for the same, and we will look forward to e-meeting you there. We'll talk about all the opportunities at the chapter, what the chapter is into. In fact, we are going to announce quite a few activities as well. So stay tuned for that. Next, we are going to have our PMP Kickstart journey. That is the webinar, pre-interactive webinar that our academy is conducting to showcase the advantages of PMP program that is taken by Mohit Mathur. That's on 12th of July. So this is the PMP preparation program that we will be having on, and it's starting on 25th of July, and it is at a very convenient timings. So it's not the complete 8-hour program that we are used to during the not the 8-hour program, but we will be having a few breaks, and then we'll be having shorter sessions. Okay, this starts on the 25th of July. We have the details of our Academy Director Manohar right in the slide. Otherwise, you can always reach out to office@pmi-pcc.org, and we will be happy to help you there. So the next slide. Okay, we have, most of you would have received the email regarding this Women Empowerment Committee or Women Engagement Committee, and it kickstarted on the 28th of May, and we had a very good inclusive leaders session on the day by Miss Jennifer Thorpe, and now we are into the second phase. We have a few activities coming up. The email would be with the title announcements from WEC. So you have a couple of activities. Please take part in that, and we will look forward to your inputs. You must have seen this campaign. You are a special one. It reads, "You are a special one." This is an initiative which shall bring smiles on everyone's faces. It makes us go back into the past, dig out from the memories, happy memories that we had with our friends, family, near and dear ones. Go ahead, take this, and then we'll look forward to you engaging in this campaign. Next, it is our call of duty with you must. This is your chance to elect your board of directors for the PMI Global. Everyone would have received an email from PMI directly, which says your personalized link for the PMI board election. Okay. So, and next. This is the someone who is not on mute. Please mute yourself. Okay. This is the activity that Madhav was talking about right in the start of the session, the Friends of Members. We have two teams. One is headed by Madhav Reddy himself, the president. This talks about immediate response or first level response of COVID. If any of the immediate family members are affected by it, directly reach out to Madhav for help with the next step. And due to COVID, we are having quite a bit of a situation on the professional side as well. Jobs, people let go, all these activities. Please reach out to Sairam. The email and the number are mentioned. Would suggest reach out to them on the email ID first. Of course, depending on urgency. Please go ahead, send them messages if it is urgent, and then we'll take it forward from there. The tagline, "We are here for you." That is what we want to repeat again. So, coming up, we are having the members network meeting on 25th of July. Please save this date. You will receive information and invite soon. All right. So Thank you so much for joining us. This is about my set of announcements from the chapter. Okay, someone is really okay. All right. Saurabhya, would you please run the feedback form, please?
I shared the link in the chat.
Okay. All right.
So can you please mute the username which mentioned in the chat?
Okay. No, I don't see that. All right, I'll check here itself. Please take a couple of minutes before you. Okay, I don't find anyone. Please fill in the feedback form. Thank you. Yeah, I guess it's gone now. All right. This is very important for us to plan the next forthcoming sessions as well. Just to let you know, our next session will be on 12th of July. Saujanya, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're correct, Suma.
Yeah, 12th of July, every alternate Sunday. Let us put it this way. Next two sessions, every alternate Sunday. So 12th and 26th of July, please make a note. You must have received this dates in the session mailer itself, which talks about registering for the entire series, not only just one session. So we are promising you exciting sessions ahead as well. And would there be anything else, Saujanya?
No, Suma. That's it.
Okay.
I think
So,
it updates my
are
message.
we ready to close?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kindly take the feedback.
Yeah. The PDO information we will be giving it in the email as well. And if you want to claim on your own, please go ahead and claim under the strategy. One PDU under the category of strategy.
And Suma, I would like to add that we are going to send a mailer to all the attendees along with the sample CVs and also the presentation. They will receive in a couple of days.
Hey, Suma, this is Prasad. I have one question. So yesterday there was a session yesterday, right? There was a session yesterday from the PMI chapter. You remember?
Which one, Prasad?
So I don't remember. There was a project management and relevance of the project managers, right? There was one session yesterday.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
So the PMI, Hyderabad chapter only conducted yesterday 10 o'clock, 10:30.
Can you send us the title of the session?
1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, I posted.
Okay.
Suma, I think is talking the one.
I got it, Bhaskar.
Yeah. So will we be getting any PDUs for this?
Yes. You will be getting an email for this, and I think it will be on Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
This webinar, friends, whoever are on the session right now, let me reiterate. We are collaborating on the region 11 nowadays. That is all the 8 or 9 chapters of PMI as well as Colombo and Bangladesh. These are called the region 11. So each of the chapters is doing awesome webinars and other sessions. We are seeing which one of them we can offer it to the other chapter members so that we can add value to it. This was one of the first that we shared. Mumbai chapter hosted it, but we shared it with all our members. So did the rest of the chapters. And I hope you got very good benefit out of it. Did you, Prasad?
Yes, Suma. It was very good. Yeah, I attended the session, Antonio. Yeah, it was good.
Yes. And I guess tomorrow or day after, you'll be receiving an email from the Mumbai chapter regarding the PDUs and the rest of the information.
Yeah, the present one, right? It is to be claimed under strategy. That's what you're saying.
Yes, one PDU under strategy.
That's fine. Thanks. That should help. Thanks.
Sure. So these are the things that we are doing as a part of member benefit. We try to offer more and more to the members as a part of our activities. Please do share your feedback and your thoughts with us regarding how we can add more value to you as members. We are there for that. All right. Okay. Anything else to share or speak? Saujanya, anyone else?
Yeah, nothing. Thank you, Suma.
All right. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you each and everyone for joining this session, and hope we are expecting all your attendees at the other coming sessions, episode 2 and 3 also.
Okay. Thank you so much, and you have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Take care.